Hi guys, welcome to MagicGatheringStrat. I'm Dan and I have spent a little over 3 months doing something called the Pauper Gauntlet, and now it's time to give me feedback on the gauntlet. And there was a lot of things involved, but first, Boris Kitty won it. Turbo Kitty 3000 was the master brewer. Tom the Scud won the Steam Wins and Boris Kitty won the 9th round, which no other deck managed to do. So the record of Boris Kitty in the gauntlet was 9-0. Anyway, Season 2 of the gauntlet will begin July 28th, 2014. So what changes do we need to do? Was the gauntlet fine as it was? What did you like about the gauntlet? Please answer in the comments on Pure MTGO to this article or on YouTube. And where do you feel that the gauntlet could improve? What was the best moments in the gauntlet? And please answer them on Pure. So here are some things that have been suggested to me or that I have thought about myself. So there was a lot of decks that just died in round 1, such as Delver and Monoblue Stormpost. And double elimination would make the whole process, would make elimination a lot harder, would probably then help the good decks and hurt the brews, which might not be a good thing. I did want the Pauper Gauntlet to be around 3 months. I would like to I would like for it to go on for the entire month of November as well next time. And I might be wrong there. But there were times that I could not play because I played all the matches. I played 115 matches. And we definitely need more matches in the gauntlet. Though I had a lot of time during this period, and another time I might not have as much time. But double elimination, I think it would double the number of matches. It makes sense, but it should not double the number of rounds because the bad decks would still be eliminated much earlier than the good decks. There is another way of making more matches, and that's of course to have more decks. One thing that happened during the Pauper Gauntlet, at the very beginning, there was a bad cop introduced. Someone who dissed decks and made sure that unimaginative decks were not included in the Gauntlet. And that we probably need a slightly worse bad cop that doesn't say no to so many decks, because there were too many no's. There were 47 decks in the Gauntlet, and there could have been more. I was thinking about 100 decks. And I will definitely have more decks next time, at least 60. But 100 is a magic number. And I think there is depth. And if you include total crap, like Counterburn this time, then the deck is eliminated. So it doesn't hurt anything. There is some administrative work at the beginning that will be longer, but how many decks would you prefer? Can we do both double elimination and 100 decks? I don't think 100 decks would double the number of matches, but it would probably increase it by 60% and then would double it with double elimination. But I could do that. That's 3 times as many matches. I could do that. So the requirements for the decks, were they correct? We wanted the decks with daily results that was imaginative, or that had something new, or had some history. What do you think of the deck submission period? We had 10 days from the start of the gauntlet. I intend to repeat that if you don't stop me. So I announced the Pauper Gauntlet Season 2. I open it with an article on Pure on the 28th of July. And then we have 10 days for deck registration. So let me know what you think. If that is enough. I did love the interest. Everybody was submitting decks and so, and I think all the people that submitted decks were treated a bit harshly by the bad cop. So maybe more loving submissions of decks, and just more crap decks in the gauntlet. The crap decks were fun. So what did you think about the Just for Fun round? It was the round number 2. I played in the Just for Fun room, and I discovered that the Just for Fun room was a place that was very uneven. There were like great players with great decks in there, but the bad decks were much worse than in tournament practice. So this allowed the Rogue Brews to proceed another round. And I used it as a method because I felt that too many decks were eliminated in round 1 of the first Pauper Gauntlet. Is this a good idea? Is it not? Is it just random, just complicating things too much? Let me know what you think about the Just for Fun round. God, I have so many things to think about here. There's so many things that could be changed. So I really need to know what you think. Deck updates. We updated some decks during the gauntlet itself. So is that a good idea? I was reluctant to do it because it was extra work, but I did update some decks. And who is allowed to update a deck? For example, I didn't have one prohibit for Muck, Mono Blue Control, and I thought that, oh, this doesn't do a lot. But then somebody lent me the prohibit and I put it in the deck. Should the brewer be allowed to update the deck? Should the public be allowed to update the deck? Should the Steam Wins person or the person that has the competition slot for the deck be or a successful player, for example, Dromar X, who plays Boris Kitty, could he have updated the deck? So I am a proven player, I'm updating the deck. So let me know what you think about deck updates. Possibly you can even have a person that was responsible for this, but well, we don't want this to get too complicated. That's very important. The main idea, the thing that made the Pauper Gauntlet possible was the fact that I could just sit down and play. Play. No administration, just play. Okay, what did you think about the Steam Wins competition? I think Tom the Scud loves it because he has 4 Steam Wins. And this made... I was surprised that people did not enter the Steam Wins competition. Even when the vote back was happening, a lot of decks was unclaimed. Love Train was claimed extremely late. And it came in 3rd place. But there was extra interest, and this was really helpful because I got this vocal community of Steam Wins competitors that I really liked. So what did you think about the Steam Wins competition? Was it a reasonable price? Should I have a secondary price? Should I take something from the first price? The price will be somewhere in the range of 12 to 14 tickets next, unless I have a sponsor. For the next Pauper Gauntlet as well, and we're going to run the standard Pauper Gauntlet. More about that later, but that's not going to have a price, I don't think. So let me know what you think about the Steam Wins competition. It was a great way to generate interest from a select few and then generate some broad interest as well, because I could say, I could tweet like, I'm giving away 4 Steam Wins, come check this out. And I think that is one of the reasons that my most successful articles on Pure ever is the Pauper Gauntlet and the Pauper Gauntlet The Competitors, the presentation of the 47 decks 2 weeks later with the Steam Wins competition. Thanks to all the Brewers. Extra shout out and thanks to all the Brewers. The Brewers were the most fun to have contact with. There were so many Brewers, and actually the double elimination thing, the main thing with that would be for the Brewers to enjoy their brews in the Pauper Gauntlet a bit longer. I had so many great relationships with Brewers, and I had so many blooming great relationships at the beginning. They were like, people, oh, I'm so happy you're at my deck, and then I lost the first round. They were like, you suck, and went away. And that was a bit sad. Some decks had active Brewers then, and some did have non-active Brewers. And the non-active Brewers were mostly the net decks. So what do you think about the net decks? All the decks from, was it the 4th round or the 3rd round, this gauntlet, are automatically qualified next year. Also, all the top decks of the dailies will be automatically in the Pauper Gauntlet, and they will probably not have active Brewers. So, yeah, should like good tournament players of these decks be able to claim the Brewer spot? Because the Brewer is very useful in many ways during the Gauntlet. I said at the beginning of the Pauper Gauntlet that other people from MagicGatheringStrat, probably Bava or Brennan or someone, would play the decks, but that was never necessary, and I think that would have confused things a lot. So I will be playing all the matches, and only in emergencies, if I can't meet the deadline, etc., somebody else will play the decks. So yeah. What do you think about the vote back? Icy Hot Toddy was voted back in the third round, and that also generated some interest. They were like, Icy Hot Toddy became the people's champion, and everybody was interested in what happened to Icy Hot Toddy. And Flying Dinosaurs wasn't allowed back, and the dreams of 12-year-old boys were crushed again. So I like the vote back. I think this was a good idea. It was also a good headline for the article. And I think the right time for it to happen, if there is no double elimination, is after round 2. And I really wanted to let more decks come back. If Flying Dinosaurs had tied Icy Hot Toddy, I would have let them both come back in the competition. Because this didn't really change the final result. Icy Hot Toddy could never win the Pauper Gauntlet, I don't think. It was too brittle, but it was so fun that it stayed in the competition. So I would like to let 2 or 3 decks come back, especially if we had 100 decks. So let me know what you think, and also if you have an idea, how do I combine this with double elimination? Coming back then from double elimination is a big thing. That's maybe too big an advantage. So maybe double elimination eliminates the vote back. I'm not sure. Here's an entirely new idea. I was thinking about the finals itself was like, oh, now I lost with tricks, oh, Boros Kitty wins. And that wasn't super exciting, so I was thinking of doing a daily event round. And I think I placed this on round 13, so the Pauper Gauntlet could end earlier. But I think the Gauntlet will last longer. And this doesn't bring into account double elimination then, because double elimination then this would happen later. So what happens in the daily event round is that I have to play every deck in the daily event, every deck that remains. So I don't want too many decks remaining. I don't want to do this in round 9 if I have 100 decks and then suddenly I have 10 decks to play in dailies. That would take forever. What do you think of this idea? So for example, this time if Trix and Boros Kitty made it, I would play a daily event counting all the matches, and then if, so to say, Boros Kitty went 3-1 and Trix went 2-2, well, then Boros Kitty wins the Pauper Gauntlet. That's a bit more exciting. So let me know what you think about this idea. Some other minor things here. I presented the decks in teams. That didn't have any significance at all at the beginning, but some people were confused by it. I thought it was fun, like a Team Blue Black, oh, that was it, or Team Simic with Love Train and Simic Storm Post, etc. So, do you think anything about that? The deck lists, the way you keep them all on external websites. I ran like 8 deck lists on MagicGatheringStrat. Other decks had links to articles, so I think that worked pretty well. I didn't want to list all the decks on Pure. So what do you think? You can look at the original article and tell me if you want me to change anything there. It was the end of July on Pure. There was, of course, all the matches was on this YouTube channel. I did run an article about the Pauper Gauntlet. Sort of the core of the Pauper Gauntlet was the bi-weekly article on Pure MTGO. And I will definitely want to keep that structure. That is probably not changeable at all. I used MagicGatheringStrat for backup things like short articles in between and the deck list, etc. And I tweeted a lot about the Pauper Gauntlet. It even had its own hashtag. Well, we talked about the deck submission period, so... And then we have streaming and Tier 1 Day. I thought Tier 1 Day was a really fun idea, so I sat down and streamed for 9 hours. I'd never done that before. I was so exhausted at the end. And my wife looked at me and said, "Oh, what happened to you?" And I was streaming. But the problem with streaming the Pauper Gauntlet was that I could be sniped. People saw what I was doing. people jumped into Rocky Horror eliminated Delver, and Delver Fiend eliminated Mono Blue Stormpost. Those were snipes. Those were really good matchups. Really bad matchups for the decks. Of course, you could argue that this was a way to eliminate the tier 1 decks, that the tier 1 decks should have a harder time winning the Pauper Gauntlet. And in the end this time, we had Rogue Brews all over. Boros Kitty was like the tier 2 deck that was the favorite at the end, because all the other decks were rogues. Well, Stompy and Mono Blue Control made it quite far. And I really like tier 1 day, but what about the streaming? How should streaming be handled? I don't know. So I just didn't stream anything of the Gauntlet. But ideally, I would love to stream the whole Gauntlet. But I don't see a way around, as the Steamens competition is going on as well. And people really cared about the outcome. So I have to do it. You saw me doing it on strange accounts at the end, just so people couldn't influence the outcome. And that really removed all the audience, which is bad too. So I don't really know a workaround around that. I will probably do it exactly like I did this season. That is, not stream and run on strange accounts on the end. But tell me if you have a solution for this. Because I would love to stream, and I would love to keep tier 1 day, because it was fun. So, what do we do when a card gets banned? I think we handle it pretty well. Simic Stormpost, I offered the brewer, can you make a deck without Cloud Posts and without Temporal Fissure? And he said, no, I can't. So we went back and asked you guys, and you told then the deck, you said, you voted, and you said then the deck is eliminated. So that's the way I intend to do it. Offer the brewer, sort of, can you rework this deck, still keeping the spirit of the deck? Not another deck, but this deck. If not, the deck is gone. I don't expect there to be bannings next year, but yeah. My last line here is pretty weird. We're going to do the standard Pauper Gauntlet, and I would like to do a gauntlet for another format, but I can't see how I would handle that financially, because it would be extremely expensive. Also, it can't really be a rotating format, because rotating formats change too much. So for example, if I sat down today and tried to go a standard gauntlet, and then Born of the Gods comes out, and 15% of the card pool is new, then that would change everything, right? So what formats could I do a gauntlet in, and where is it relevant? You need at least some competition. So Pauper is an ideal format for this, and I've been able to. There were some cards I didn't own, but kind people lend me cards, and some of them I replaced, to some Brewers' dismay, I must add. Anything else? Do you like to say something else about the Gauntlet? Do so in the comments. What was your personal favorite deck? And how does this feedback affect the standard Pauper Gauntlet? The standard Pauper Gauntlet will start February 24. The biggest change from this Gauntlet is that I'm not the player. Brennan is. Brennan is MagicGatheringStrat standard Pauper guy. Cerulean is his Magic Online name. And he will ultimately decide what changes to implement for the standard Pauper Gauntlet. But my default plan is to run the standard Pauper Gauntlet almost like the first season of the Pauper Gauntlet. There will be no Just for Fun room, there will be no Steamens competition, and there will be maybe 20 decks or something like that, so it will be a much smaller affair. But I don't think these changes we talk about here will affect the standard Pauper Gauntlet a lot. And I think over the coming years, if this becomes a thing, we will just run the standard Pauper Gauntlet the same way as that years or that season that blocks real Pauper Gauntlet. Did that make sense? If you have any questions, let me know. And here is the contact information. The best way to reach me is definitely on YouTube. That's where I check the most, or on MTGOstrat. Thank you for watching.